we interrupt our regularly scheduled programming to talk State of the Union. Let me assure you, this has nothing to do with politics, everybody, nothing at all. I will say that watching President Biden's State of the Union address last night did remind me to revisit a topic I attempted to make a couple of weeks ago when I was sitting in my car mechanics workspace or back office workspace doing a live. It was a horrible connection. I was embarrassed by it, frankly. But the point of it, so I wanted to revisit it again. At that time, I was in that mechanics office. I had to go. I had a regularly scheduled checkup for 120,000 miles, but I also had a red light on my dashboard, so I had to run in there and make sure that the seat belts, the airbags were working properly. So the metaphor then was check in on yourself, right? 120,000 mile checkup, check in on yourself. The metaphor now is check in on yourself, State of the Union. Do you do one for yourself? And it was important for me to say it, and I'm going to say it again here right now. Are you tracking yourself on some regularly scheduled basis of how you're doing? Life, career, relationships, any of these things. Are you doing it? If so, great. I'm thrilled for you. I really and truly am. But again, the State of the Union last night reminded me to remind you, and it reminded me of that time when I didn't think I got it across that clearly at my mechanics. If you're not tracking yourself, how come? There's some great tools out there. Napoleon Hill, I'll put a link in the chat. Napoleon Hill, someone who I consider a giant, has a great list called take a personal inventory. There's a lot of tools out there to do it, but we do fall off. As Chrissy Hines said, circumstances beyond our control, the phone, TV, the news of the world, and there's plenty of all that, right? But we have to stay on track and do it in a regularly scheduled basis. You know, I've talked a bunch about Reid Hoffman's book, Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn's book, The Startup of You. In that book, Reid just says, if it's essential in this day and age, and I've talked about this also, honestly, for 10 years. I used to run a course called Careerpreneuring. Maybe I'll even run it again sometime. But he says, the essential message of that book, The Startup of You, is to accelerate your career. I'm reading in today's competitive world, manage it as if it were a startup business, a living, breathing, growing startup of you. Any successful business always does an inventory. They always check in. There's always metrics and measurements. And you, we, me, everybody, this is the startup of you. Running your time and your career and your life like a small business is sage advice by Mr. Hoffman and even back then Napoleon Hill. Taking time to schedule time to assess your State of the Union so you can manage your startup. The startup of you is smart. Okay. I mean, that's it. There's a guy, and I'll stop there. And I think, look, schedule it on your birthday. It'd be way better than getting a new shirt or a blouse or a sleeve of golf balls or something like that. This personal inventory is this understanding the state of your union is just, it's a gift you can give yourself that'll never stop giving, particularly if you keep at it. There's a guy, I'll close with this quick story. There's a gentleman named Dan Kennedy who I've met in passing, a couple times. I've been to Dan's events. He's a very smart guy. He's a bit of a curmudgeon, but he's a smart guy and very well respected in the business world. You could look him up if you want. But ironically, there was a post I got from him this morning about an event he's putting on, but it was prefaced with this comment. And again, I'm going to read it. Dan, by the way, almost passed away. He was essentially in hospice and he recovered. It was remarkable. But he wrote this morning in bold letters, time is the fire in which we all burn. For you to think you have enough of it is delusional. The average life expectancy of a person living in the United States is 77 years old. Now, you'll think you'll spend a third of that sleeping, another third of that doing all the random things such as eating, talking, taking care of responsibilities, children, spouse, etc. If you saw all these social media apps utilizing new and newer strategies to steal your time, and kids these days even more than adults, scrolling like zombies, thinking they've got all the time in the world, you don't. And he wrote, and I've got less. So this is Dan's rant this morning, but it's poignant, right? And doing these inventories and optimizing your time. Not for me. I got to do my own. But it was a reminder for me last night um, to have some regularly scheduled State of the Unions like we have. So that's it. I'm done. Do your best. Take the time you have to best understand you and your very own State of the Union, and then manage the startup of you accordingly. That's it. I'll put a link to Napoleon Hill's personal inventory quiz, and you can go from there. Thank you, everybody. I hope you're all well, and stay safe, please. Okay. Thank you.